Hello, everybody. It is Rahulio here, bringing you another sweet and sassy podcast. So I've been on podcasts in the past, and they're all deleted, and time has run them over. But since I've been doing some interviews on you now, I've decided I'm going to take my interviews to the next level. I'm going to start doing a podcast. Today I don't have any guests planned, just because this is the first podcast. We're just kind of getting the ball rolling. Our first guest for today is going to be myself, Rahulio. I'm going to tell you who I am, where I am, what I do, what I like, why I do this, and when I do this. It's gonna be a great time. And then I got some segments planned and for the future, just some things that I can do myself since we don't really have a guest today. So I'm gonna answer a few of the questions that I know you're just dying to know. First one, who am I? I am Rahulio. I'm a wannabe comedian, actor, scriptwriter, video game lover, moviegoer, somebody who makes mistakes. The average, everyday Joe Schmo. Rahulio. So where I do this in Texas. Pretty much this is just where I live. I live in Texas near Austin, and I do this podcast in my room or whenever I'm out on the go. If I'm at an interview with somebody, depending if it's side by side with them or if it's on a call. Again, most likely my room. What I do comedy. I sing for fun, I draw, again for fun, I'm not very good at it. I act, I interview, and I waste my life playing video games. Don't we all? So let's move on to what I like. I like comedy. I like comedy a lot. Some of my favorite sketch groups are The Whitest Kids You Know, The Mighty Boosh, which isn't really a sketch artist, it's more of like a show. I just like the surreal comedy. I also like things like Super Jail, Rick and Morty, Robot Chicken, Harvey Birdman, pretty much anything that's on late night Adult Swim. Some of my favorite comedians are Nick Swardson, Daniel Tosh, Jim Gaffigan, and Patton Oswalt. Very satirical and very surreal. I also like video games. As I said earlier, I waste most of my life playing video games. I like RPGs, FPSs, first-person shooters, action games, strategy games, and games with a lot of lore in general. Some good examples are, the Dark Souls series because of that lore, though. Persona 5, Call of Duty, mainly Black Ops 1, mainly for the zombies. Apotheon, this nice little game that if you haven't played it, you should play it definitely. I highly suggest it. The Dragon Age series, the Mass Effect series, pretty much anything made by BioWare. Metal Gear Solid, and it's mostly because of the story. I've watched a lot of the lore videos. I've only played Metal Gear Solid 5. I want to play the rest of them, but I just don't have enough time or money. I also like the Rune Factory series and Stardew Valley to that effect. I like the Elder Scrolls and the Fallout series, and it's because I love mods. I have a great computer. One of my first goals whenever I got the computer was to mod Skyrim so much that I actually had a load time, and it still has not happened. And I also like The Sims to make nightmare worlds because that's just fun. I like comics. I just don't really have money to have a collection or buy them, so I stick to listening to Comicstorian, which I get doesn't make me, a comic nerd, but, I know my fair share about the Marvel and DC universe and other comics to that effect. Music. I like all music pretty much. Rock, metal, rap, country, dubstep, acapella, classic rock, death metal. Everything from Eminem to Weezer, Bowling for Soup, Disturbed, Blink-182, Sublime, System of a Down, Men at Work, mostly the Down Under song, The Killers, Gorillaz, Five Finger Death Punch, and Bare Naked Ladies. Just, variety. So the next thing I'm going to answer is why I do this. I do this mostly for me. A good way to explain it is that I'm a creative person, and we really all are. But people who are creative tend to get depressed when they don't do or create anything. I can read and keep my mind busy doing other things, but when you're in school and learning to do whatever it is you're wanting to major in, you do projects, and the school challenges you to create new things with what you've learned. Since I'm a bit too poor to go to school, and a lazy piece of shit, I have decided to keep my mind and myself busy by creating simple tasks and creating goals and deadlines for myself. Kind of like this. Which brings me to my next point, when I do this. I do this every Monday. Monday's a good day for me because I can plan the show during the week, record on Saturday, and edit on Sunday. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Now that you know a little bit about me, we're going to move into our first segment for today. And our first segment for today is what I like to call a wiki view. This is a segment in which I take a movie that I've never watched, and there are a lot of those, and I go to its Wikipedia page, and I read it, and I review it, and give it a score based on the Wikipedia page. And what I do is I add up points from 0, capping out at 10. It's almost guaranteed to be inaccurate, so to avoid reading the whole Wikipedia page on the podcast, I've read it and I've broken it down into what I think is the most important. Our movie that we're going to be wiki viewing today is a movie called Seven Sisters, or if you live in America, it's called What Happened to Monday, and it's classified as a dystopian science fiction thriller. Great, another one of those. -1 point. It has Willem Dafoe in it, so that's an automatic 4 points on my scale added. The movie is set 6 years before the new Blade Runner in 2043, in a world where you can only have one child because there are just simply too many goddamn mouths to feed and not enough room in the world. If you have more than one kid, they are put into cryosleep. Why not just give people vasectomies and tying tubes after one kid? -1 point. Our main protagonist is the grandfather to septuplet sisters, which means that there are 7 of them. And because her vagina is stretched to Sam Hell, the mother dies during childbirth. And that's pretty dramatic and probably brings the characters close together emotionally, especially because the grandfather just lost a daughter but gained 7 granddaughters. So I'll give it another 2 points. He names them after each day of the week, and on the day of their name, he lets them out to live as one person because they all look very similar. That's very creative, I'll give an extra point for that. Interestingly enough, to keep continuity going, they all have to tell each other about their day, and if at any point in time something happens to them that changes their appearance, say one of them gets a black eye during the day, all the sisters have to get a black eye. Take out those brass knuckles, Grandpa. That's some dedication. +1 point. Chaos ensues as 2073 comes around and people have started to catch on. One of their co-workers starts to catch on, and seeing the sisters acting as Karen as competition to his promotion, he decides to snitch. Snitches get stitches, -1 point. They capture one of the sisters and use her eye to bypass the grandfather's home security system retina scanner by tearing her fucking eye out like crazy people to invade the home of the sisters in order to kill the rest of them. That's pretty metal, so I'll give it 1 more point. A bunch of people die, people who aren't meant to have sex, and the sisters are unsure of what will happen next. Their main mission to rescue their captured sister Monday, or so they think. To avoid spoiling the movie, I will skip the end, but from the end, I will give it an extra 3 points, because it seems pretty emotional, and it's not a they lived happily ever after ending, but it's satisfying enough. Adding up all the points, we get a 9 out of 10. That's pretty high, I have to admit. I didn't think I'd be giving any movie this high of a score, but after reading the story and synopsis, I have to admit, I kind of want to see this movie now. Now let's see how my score compares to the actual ratings. The actual ratings don't do it very good justice, actually. The actual ratings give it a 6.05 out of 10. Didn't look like it did too good, people mostly harping on the amount of violence in the film, and the apparent plot holes here and there. Although it has these low scores, one critic thinks this movie will eventually have a cult following. So that may be a sign that this movie isn't as bad as they say that it is. Again, this is just a wiki review. What do you guys think? Go to the Wikipedia page, read it, and submit your score in the comments. And if you saw this movie, tell me what your score is. It's on Netflix, feel free to check it out. The next segment of our show is an upcoming game release, where I just talk about an upcoming game release. That's pretty straightforward. This is just so I can talk about video games, really. I like video games a lot, so... And again, I waste my life on them. Might as well make it a little bit less of a waste. Today we're going to be talking about a game that I just learned about recently. It's a game that already came out in Japan, but is coming to America this month. Already being promised a movie by next year. Of course, I am talking about Pikachu Detective on the 3DS. You heard me right. Pikachu Detective. Now this isn't a normal Pikachu we're talking about. This is a talking Pikachu. A deep, gruff, low-voiced Pikachu who you go around with solving crime. Pretty straightforward, to be honest. Sadly, you don't get to play as this Pikachu, which would have been amazing, but it adds an extra layer to the character of Pikachu, because we are so used to Ash's Pikachu from Pokemon. This Pikachu seems to be in the same mood as Pikachu was in the beginning of Ash's adventure, where he doesn't really like to be bossed around. He's a big man in a small, cute, mouse-like Pokemon's body. You get to play as his sidekick, or I guess maybe he's your sidekick. It's really hard to tell with that. I think this game might prove pretty interesting because it expands on the lore of the Pokemon universe. I like the concept because it opens up avenues for other Pokemon games in which you do a common or uncommon profession, but you do it with Pokemon. Because, you know, it's Pokemon. Hopefully it won't get too muddy and we don't ever have a Pokemon zombie game, but I think a Pokemon cooking game, building game, SimCity-like game, even a Pokemon Sim type of game would be kind of fun. A lot of people are in love with Pokemon, and I'm sure the public would eat it up. I will sadly not be playing this game because I do not have a 3DS, but if you happen to get a copy, be sure to tell me how it plays, and if you think there should be more games like it. It looks like it has some quick time events and it has a streamlined story, but I imagine future games with bigger budgets could provide for some interesting gameplay. Another thing to mention is that people wanted Danny DeVito to play as Pikachu Detective in the movie in 2019, but apparently he is going to be voiced by Ryan Reynolds instead. Do you think Danny should have gotten the part? I sure do. I would have loved to see him in a cute little Pikachu Detective costume to promote the movie. We're going to move on to our next segment now, which is the silly story of the week. I like to call it the Uber Blunder. It's not a very good title, but let's get into it. The story goes a little something like this. A man gets drunk with his buddies in Morgantown, West Virginia. Our protagonist is pretty drunk, drinking, quote from the Miami Herald, more than 20 beers and a couple of vodkas, which isn't very specific. Do they mean vodka bottles, like a couple of vodka bottles, or a couple of shots? I'm just going to say bottles, adds some pizzazz to the story. After his many bottles of vodka, he made his most responsible decision for that night. Or so he thought. He ordered an Uber XL to take him home and passed out due to all the alcohol in his system. When he woke up, he had no idea where he was and had no idea who the mysterious man driving him was. With some probing and investigating, he found out that the night before when he had called for an Uber XL during surging hours, he had set his destination as his home in New Jersey, a bit more than 300 miles away from Morgantown, and that he owed a total of $1,635.93. Obviously appalled at his mistake and the bill, he tried to dispute the bill with Uber, stating that he knew where he was and would have never put his home address in, instead blaming it on the Uber driver, who apparently had used his phone to answer a FaceTime call and who knows what else, possibly rerouting the trip to his hometown, the New Jersey man seems to think. Also stating that the Uber driver shouldn't have taken him on a cross-country trip because he wasn't sober enough to make good decisions, and the Uber driver should have recognized this. But, as things go, he did have to pay the bill, and now he has a GoFundMe for people to help him out with the damages. I'll post the link to that GoFundMe in the description below. So far, as of writing the script, he's raised $50 from one person. Probably his mom. He has a cute picture of SpongeBob as his GoFundMe picture, and the tagline, "Blacked out in an Uber and woke up to a $1,600 dent in my pocket." One person applauded his decision not to drive home in the comments. Someone else also commented, "I guess personal responsibility is a thing of the past." Ooh, that's pretty harsh. What do you guys think? Do you think he should have been charged for the Uber? Would you have taken him 6 hours away from your area of operation if you were that Uber driver? I think it's interesting that him making a responsible decision, calling an Uber rather than drinking and driving, ended up costing him $1,600. Next time he'll think twice before ordering an Uber instead of drunk driving. I never thought I'd say that out loud. I don't condone drinking and driving, unless you're drinking that sweet H2O. Say H2 no to alcohol. We're going to move on to our next segment called Poetry or Trash. This is a segment of the show where I read out the lyrics to a popular song I haven't listened to with no music backing it, just using the heart and soul of the lyrics to decide whether or not that song is poetry or trash. Our song today is My by Troye Sivan. Let's begin. Shine on, diamond, can't make me wait another day. 'Cause passion is passion. You know it just as well as me. Now let's stop running from love, running from love. Let's stop, my baby. Let's stop running from us. What running from us? Let's stop, my baby. Oh my, I die every night with you. Oh my, living for your every move. Spark up, buzz cut. I've got my tongue between your teeth. Go slow. No. Go fast. You like it just as much as me. Now let's stop running from love, running from love. Let's stop, my baby. Let's stop running from us, running from us. Let's stop, my baby. Oh my, I die every night with you. Oh my, living for your every move. Oh my, I die every night with you. Oh my, living for your every move, your every move. Oh my. Should be the last night ever, should be the last night we're apart. Got my name on this treasure, on this treasure. Oh my, I die every night with you. I die, I die, I die, I die. Yeah, yeah. Oh my. Oh my, yeah. Living for your every move. Living for, yeah. Oh my. I die every night with you. Oh my. Oh my. Oh my. Living for your every move. Living for your every move. Oh my. Now that you've heard it, it's your time to decide. Is this poetry about a man who loves a woman or a trashy pop song that repeats the same word 50 times to inspiring instrumentals? Post your vote in the comments below. Hopefully we can get enough votes so I can tell you the verdict on the next podcast. If you know a song worthy of poetry or trash reading, feel free to post it in the comments. My opinion is that oh my, this song fucking sucks. Moving on. This is our next segment. It's called the Compliment of the Week. This is our closing segment. This is just a pretty quick podcast. This is going to be our closing segment. It's where I compliment you guys, and you guys pass on that compliment to your family, strangers, and friends, and we just spread some positivity to the world. This week's compliment: hey, you wipe your ass pretty well, and I'm proud of you for not wasting toilet paper on your anus. I hope you take that to heart, and be sure to spread the love and positivity to your friends and family. Let people know that they have clean buttholes. So in closing, that's it for this week's podcast. As time goes on, we'll pick up more segments. I plan on having some guests come onto the show. If you'd like to be on this podcast, be sure to message me on Instagram or Twitter, Rahulio the Fourth. I don't have a business email because I'm as unprofessional as an unconsensual back massage at the workplace. As time goes on, we all evolve and get better. So will the show. If you have any ideas or criticism, feel free to tell me so I can improve and don't stagnate in a pool of my own mediocrity. With that all being said, my name is Rahulio. I will see you next week on Monday. Stay sweet, stay sassy, stay hydrated, and please don't pee in the pool.